following face you may have seen around town. Or maybe you've heard her belt her heart out looking like a pinup goddess at karaoke. Especially wearing that one dress, you know, the one, the blue one with the polka dots. So this wonderful woman is Miss Caroline Monroe. That is Caroline M-U-N-R-O-E.
Alright, so I'm told these things usually involve a lot more dancing and taking clothes off, but I'm from Delaware, so I'm not really known for my dancing skills, and I'm going to spare you from all of this. But we're going to keep it intimate, and I'm going to tell you a little story about my favorite topic, my vagina. So this story is called Gandalf.
And y'all shall not pass.
I am the proud owner of a beautiful pair of long labia minora. And I really do adore them. Because not only are they a great source of pleasure, but they really are beautiful. At any given time, they can take on the shape of a pair of wings or a heart. Sometimes a weird little flower thing going on down there. They're great, and I love them. But that was not always the case. I can't remember how or when I came to be aware of the fact that my vagina was weird. But for a long time, I was pretty convinced that that was an absolute fact. I actually believed for an embarrassingly long amount of time that I had maybe been born intersex, and that my labia were perhaps the remnants of my penis. Okay, so I didn't necessarily believe it, but it wasn't out of the realm of possibility, and I'd be lying if I said that I never kind of, stretched them out and thought about the majestic cock that I would have if only my parents hadn't cursed me with this weird-ass vagina. Now, sometime in 9th grade, I got the balls to Google my vagina and see if it was actually weird. But this was about a million years ago, before Google was a verb, and when most internet searches just yielded Yahoo answer questions. And so I typed long labia into the search bar, and the first thing that popped up was in the Yahoo answers. Are long labia weird? Some poor girl like me, who had the guts to ask the question, gave a brief description of it. I poured through pages and pages of comments. And according to the men of Yahoo Answers, who I was too young to realize most of them had never seen a vagina, but according to them, not only was my vagina weird, oh no, it was gross, it was nasty, and it was a surefire sign that a girl was a slut. And so now, all of a sudden, this thing, which had just been a source of some confusion and maybe a little penis envy, is suddenly the source of a hell of a lot of shame.
No.
And the target of a lot of hatred. And I hate to say it now, but I spent probably at least one night a week for several years sitting in front of my mirror, alternating between just unloading metric shit tons of verbal abuse on my labia and begging with them, pleading with them to please just go away so that I could just have a normal vagina. I was already the fat poor kid with psoriasis. Could I not just have a normal vagina? When I was about 17, I confided in a friend of mine my fears about how weird that situation was. And because low self-esteem and self-loathing are a great recipe for attracting really shitty friends, you know what you did? Y'all remember MySpace?
Oh,
Dig way back down, all right. So my best friend went and made a MySpace with my name. The About Me section. Do your labia hang low? And do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot, and can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your labia hang low?
Boo!
Then I hid. the bar hopping age, and I became convinced that the reason why I didn't have a boyfriend was because I'd have sex with a guy and he'd see this whole monstrosity and he'd take off running. Because of course it wasn't that, you know, going home with random bar strangers isn't really a solid foundation for a relationship. But the final nail in the coffin of my weird-ass labia was when I was sitting pre-gaming in a shitty apartment in Indiana one night with some friends, and my friend Macy started talking about this guy she'd been hooking up with, and apparently he was uncircumcised. And according to my friends, that was at least as gross as my dangly bits. Probably grosser. And I couldn't help but think of all of my past conquests sitting in some shitty Indiana apartment with their bros talking about that chick they hooked up with the weird fucking beef curtains. And so I went out that night and I got hammered and I got home and I took to the internet once more. But this time, instead of despair, I found a glimmer of hope. See, there was a surgery. Yeah, it cost $5,000. But that's a pretty small price to pay to get those things lasered off and then be done with it. And so I saved. Anybody who knows me can tell you that that is huge. But after a year of no new clothes, no dining out, picking up every shift I could find, and babysitting on the side, I had saved up 4 of the $5,000 to laser off my labia. With my goal in sight, I got a little nervous. And so I took to the internet once more, so I could remind myself that my junk was gross, and that surgery was nothing compared to having a normal vagina. But this time, I found the greatest gift I had ever found. Now, I'd been searching labia for years, and I had heard every name from beef curtains to cooter bacon, or my personal favorite, bearded piss flaps. But somehow, in all of my internet searches, I had missed the term wizard sleeves. And I don't know quite how to explain it. It was like some heavenly moment where it just struck me. And y'all, I laughed until I cried. I laughed until my face was red. I laughed until my head hurt and my sides were burning. And I laughed until I realized that I couldn't possibly part with something that brought me that much joy. I decided I didn't need surgery. And I spent $4,000 on a new wardrobe and a lot of fancy dinners. And I changed my vagina's name to Gandalf. But this time, I found the greatest gift I had ever found. Now, I'd been searching labia for years, and I had heard every name from beef curtains to cooter bacon, or my personal favorite, bearded piss flaps. But somehow, in all of my internet searches, I had missed the term wizard sleeves.